From stunning landscape to rich cultural experiences, North Vietnam has much to offer. Today I'm excited to share my experience traveling North Vietnam as a Black woman. I'll be sharing 10 practical tips about traveling North Vietnam. I will be giving you a little bit of an itinerary. And thirdly, I will speak about my personal experience as a Black woman traveling in North Vietnam. So if you're planning a trip to Vietnam or just curious about how is it to travel North Vietnam, this is the video for you. So before we start, I want to address two things. First of all, I want to thank all the subscribers and everyone is watching. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. I'm very excited to reach that milestone. So if you have not subscribed yet, please do. I'm always promising great content. If you don't know me and you're wondering, oh, why should I subscribe? Well, I'm Marlene. I make a video about travel and photography, and I want to show and inspire people and show them that they can travel more than they think they can. And secondly, why this title? That's a question I'm sure that someone will ask me. Why do you need to say that is the Black woman guide traveling to North Vietnam? This I really want to address. First of all, when I talk about travel, I want to speak about my personal experiences. I released a video the other day about traveling to Argentina as a Black woman. The amount of comment, of racism in the comment is still shocking that as of today, you cannot talk about race or anything. People are just so angry. That really annoys me. And don't get me wrong, I will continue to make this kind of video because when I go to a country and I don't see people like me, or people are asking me, oh, how is it to travel like a Black woman there? I will make a video to answer that question. So every woman, no matter what the color they are, they won't be worried about traveling anywhere in the world. Is really like a beautiful place and there's nothing to be scared about. This channel is here to inspire Black women, to show them that they can be creative, they can travel the world, and they shouldn't be scared. And as a woman in general, I also want to speak up to travel. I was reading an article the other day, 80% of women are scared to travel solo due to safety reasons. That actually needs to stop. You are even scared as a woman just to exist. So I will continue making this video. And if you don't like it, unsubscribe, and I don't want you to be watching my channel. So let's start with the 10 practical tips about traveling North Vietnam. That is for all travelers. And then after that, I will tell you where to go, and we'll end the video by me telling you what was my experience as traveling there as a Black woman. Let's get started. Tip number 1, visa. It's very important that you look up for a visa before you travel to Vietnam, according to your nationality, because they can give you a 2-week visa, a 1-day visa if they feel like it, or a 30-day visa, depending on which country you're from. I have a Belgian passport. I could only stay there for a month, and it was a $50 visa fee. And you also have to apply for the visa 2 weeks before you travel as a minimum, because it takes quite a bit of time to respond. I've put the link of the official website to apply for visa down there. So I give this advice because a lot of people go backpacking across Asia, jumping from one country to another. And sometimes they find themselves at the Vietnamese border and they cannot enter the country because they didn't apply for the visa on time. So our passport have privilege, but not all of them. Number 2, best time to visit. Best time to visit is from December to April. And then after that is from September to the beginning of November. April is the best time because it's quite dry and warm. It's not that hot. The temperature was perfect, and even when I was in the mountain, it was also the ideal temperature. And if you're a photographer, I will recommend to go in September because this is where the rice terrace of Muka Chang, which is like a very famous rice terraces that change color depending on the season. Tip number 3, money. So they use the Vietnamese dong. The conversion is here on the left. And actually Vietnam is one of the most affordable places that I've been to since I've been traveling Southeast Asia. And your money takes you very, very far. Like you can buy a beer for $1, buy a bowl of pho for $2 or $3, and transportation as well is cheap, like a taxi, a 2-hour taxi is maybe at $30, and things like that. And accommodation is also cheap. You can find, if you go to hostel and you're backpackers, which is like the majority of the population there, you can find hostel for maybe $15 in average, $15 to $20 a room. And for hotel, it will vary from $30 to $100 a night. It depends if you are in a city or in the countryside. But there's something to be aware of, like when you read the reviews before booking a hotel, sometimes they are fake. So the way to avoid that is like I go on trip.com. This is where I book my travel from. I will put a link below. And trip.com is amazing because every time you book, they give you points and your status goes open up. And sometimes you can have some travel discounts, some lounge access. So the more you book with them, the more perks you get as a traveler. And also when you go to a shop is very normal to bargain. Don't be embarrassed, because as a tourist you probably pay 3 times more than the actual price. So this is actually well-known practice, so don't be shy about it. Continuing on the money topic, tip number 4 is about ATM fees. The bank that's been recommended with the lowest fee that I'm going to put down here, maybe it's $1 or $2 fees, is AgriBank. It is ATM all over the place. Even in the mountain, in the middle of nowhere, you can find an ATM. Other than that, they take Apple Pay and you can pay by card everywhere. When I travel, I always use Revolut because you don't get banking fees. It's safer to use as well, because you don't put all the money in one basket. So I'll make a longer video about Revolut in the future. But there's no foreign exchange fees. You get travel insurance with it. You get also sometimes an eSIM, which is a virtual SIM card. Best travel companion for a very long time. Tip number 5, safety. The North is very safe. As a solo female traveler, I was hyper safe there in the North, like no troubles at all. But of course, you have to have common sense. Don't walk in a dark alley at night. Don't drink with strangers. Don't take drugs. This is common sense. But in the South, you have to be careful. You have to be careful with your phone and your camera and everything. So in Ho Chi Minh City, some camera has been snatched from tourists being like this on the street and things like that. It's a bit more prone to crime because it's like a big city. But in Hanoi, you could have your phone out and people are a bit more civilized, I would say. It's not really the word, but it's like, yeah, people won't be snatching your phone in the middle of Hanoi, but in the middle of Saigon, there will be. Another thing you have to be careful about is crossing the road. So the technique to cross the road is to do it slowly, don't start running, things like that, because cars, they won't stop, but you can wave your way through, like you just look and wait until it's a bit quieter and then you can wave it through. You can wave through the scooter. They actually don't drive fast. They drive quite slow, so you can manage to. Once you're there, you see it on TV, it looks a bit crazy, but it's not that crazy. A thing that you have to be cautious about is alcohol. I've been advised to only drink beers or wine, because it's coming from a bottle that is closed. Spirits such as vodka, tequila, whiskey are actually fake. Some of my travel buddies that I met there, some of them been sick from drinking alcohol in nightclub. So I wouldn't advise drinking it, or except if it's a very high-end, expensive place. It's probably going to be fine. But this $1 a shot of vodka, probably I would avoid that. Drugs are completely illegal. This is not Thailand. You cannot do mushroom. You cannot smoke weed. It's like no, just don't. Because you can get life sentence for that. And that's not a good end of your holiday, isn't it? Tip number 6 is about communication, language barrier, internet. So they don't speak English, so you have to use Google Translate quite a bit. And that links to the internet question, because you have to be connected. So I advise to use an eSIM that is called Arelo. It means that it's a virtual SIM card that you add to your phone and then you activate before you travel. So when you land at the destination, you already are connected straight away. So you can order a taxi, call your hotel if there's any issues, and all the things that can happen when you travel. And also, to make your life easier and to make my life easier, I will advise to use a guide when you want to see like an attraction or you want to go outside in the countryside. So for example, I was there for a photography workshop. So I was with a guide pretty much at all time, or a fixer pretty much at all time. So that made communication really easy with the locals. I will advise to use local guides. I usually use Get Your Guides. I'll link them below. They use local tour guides to actually show you around and communicate if there are any issues. Tip number 7, where to find the best food. The best food is found in Hanoi. I never tasted anything like that. The food is so delicious. I actually linked a Google map in the description with all my favorite places to eat in Hanoi, and you can be there for 1 week and eat everything. It's just like the best. Pho, called pho, is like a soup with meat and noodle and plenty of greens and vegetable. This is like the Hanoi local street food that you should try. The other food, I cannot pronounce it, but it's like pancakes, rice pancakes with prawns inside. And so everything is very fresh, very organic, and it's a good food there. The best food I could find was in Hanoi and in Ninh Binh in the north. The food was not great. It's like at the border of China, there's like a lot of rice and meat and fried rice, and it just become too repetitive. After some point, I was getting sick of it. And also, what you have to note, like in the very north of Vietnam, they eat dog meat. So, actually, at the end of my trip in the north, in ASEAN Loop, I was very sick. And I was eating something that looked a bit like chicken, but it was delicious, but I don't know what I've been served there. And I was really sick for 2 days at the back of the motorbike with no energy. That was not a fun end of my trip, unfortunately. So I will say, yeah, be careful with the food in the north. And actually, if you want to know every single food what kind of food people are eating and things like that, I will advise again to use Get Your Guide and to do like a food tour. So you can also learn a bit more about the culture and the food and what they like to eat and things like that. But food is top notch and quite healthy as well. So tip number 8, night travel. Vietnam is a very wide country and not very well connected in terms of transport. Well, it's well connected, but the distance are pretty long from one city to another. You can fly, take the train, or take the night bus, or also these VIP taxis that you can take, VIP vans with you can share with different people. Also, you think, oh, it's good because you can save one night in hotel cost, but actually it's not the case because, for example, when I was going from Hanoi to ASEAN, I was getting there like at 3 a.m. You get there a bit of odd time if you really want to maximize your day in one city and want to take the last night bus, for example. Then you arrive a bit at odd hours, and then the guys are very rude as well in those buses. They just like drop you there and they're like, oh no, go, and obviously they don't speak English, but that's not the problem, but they don't even, you say where your hotel is and then they just drop you down the road at 3 a.m. and tell you, oh, this is that way. Well, luckily there's a lot of travelers, so you're not alone, but it's a bit weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like if you feel a bit concerned about that, please take a taxi. So experience this night bus is quite funky, but be careful which one you take because there's different type of VIP buses. Don't take the one with 3 rows because this one you can't even take your backpack with you. You have to put on outside the bus, which is like no way. With everything I'm transporting, no way I'm leaving my bag outside. And also for booking your travels, don't wait the last minute. You have to book it online. It's the safest and easiest way. I use trip.com, bookaway.com, or go to Asia. These are a good website. And on those websites, this is also where you can find taxi because they give you all the options that you can take to travel around Vietnam. Tip number 9. where to go and where to stay. So they always advise to travel from south to north, because north is the most beautiful part of Vietnam. Hanoi, spend 3-4 days there, eat everything, take pictures of everything, really discover the core culture of Vietnam. This is there in Hanoi. It's magnificent. I would advise to stay by the lake and the cathedral. This is the best area to stay around in. It's near the French Quarter. It's very beautiful, very kind of romantic side of Vietnam, I would say. The second place I will advise to go to is Ninh Binh. This is it's a bit like Along Bay, but it's more on earth, on the seaside, at sea level. Let's call it Along Bay on sea level if you want. But it's lakes and Buddhist temple. It's very tranquil, rice terraces as well, mountains, birds. It's beautiful and so serene as well. Well, the city center is not serene. There's still people grabbing you for a massage and all these things. But this is Asia. It's chaotic. You love it or you hate it, but this is what it is. And one thing not to skip, because I was hesitant about skipping it or not, is the ASEAN Loop. This is in North Vietnam, there's a loop with magnificent landscape. You usually do it by a motorbike, don't worry. I was not driving. I was using an easy rider, so I was at the back of someone that was really experienced, like a local driver. And he will take me around and show me all the vista and the spot. This is the most beautiful landscape I've seen in a long time. Favorite landscape-wise for me is Chile. Chile, magnificent. But that one, the ASEAN Loop, is definitely, if you're young, fit, not scared of motorbike, not scared of height, 100% do it. I have a bit of a caveat about ASEAN because accommodation were not the best, because it's really basic homestay, but you want to rough it around for a bit and then relax on Along Bay at the end of your trip. Please do it. A tip that I will give for ASEAN is one, not to drive yourself. Secondly, when you book the room, say that you want a room alone. You want an individual room. For me to get the individual room, I added $10 a night or something like that. It's much better because the problem is you can find, depending on the homestay, some homestays let the girls be alone in the room, but sometimes it's this big dormitory on the floor and only one bathroom for 10 or 12 people. So yeah, you don't want that. Well, I don't want that. Each to their own, but this is not my style of traveling. Another place where people usually go is Along Bay, but I didn't do it this time because I want a bit of the luxury experience there. I want to go on a boat and do the most amazing cruise. And actually, if you want to find people your age, don't go to Along Bay, go to somewhere called Cat Ba. There is a bit younger, and then you enter the bay actually from another side that is a bit quieter. It's called La Han Bay. There's plenty of YouTube videos about this, so I'm not gonna speak to it. And the last tip, which is very important, this tip number 10, under no circumstances give money to kids. For example, in ASEAN, you have little girls coming to ask you to put flour in your head or to braid your hair and give you flowers, and then you think, oh, they are cute, and then you give them a tip. But unfortunately not, because their parents take them out of school to go and ask for money to foreigner, and sometimes they can be a bit insisting, and that's a shame because it's a bit heartbreaking. But these kids need to go to school, so please don't encourage them to stay in the street like that and ask for money. If you have anything to add tip-wise, feel free to write something in the comment. But now we're gonna move to the big topic and why you're coming to watch this video. What was my experience as a Black woman traveling around Vietnam? First of all, let's talk a bit about perspective. I was perceived there. They are actually Vietnamese people are very welcoming and curious. I didn't actually experience any direct racism there. People were just curious and then coming and asking for selfie all the time. That was a bit annoying, the selfie. It was someone will give you your baby to get a selfie. I'm like, what are you giving me this baby for? Like, what are you doing with this picture anyway? But as a photographer, for me, it was an advantage, because if someone asked me for a selfie, I'm like, oh, you took a selfie of me, then let me take a portrait of you. So it was a kind of an exchange. And even when I was in the market in the morning, in an hour, like I will get this kind of request, oh, selfie. I'm like, oh, selfie, then photo kind of thing. So it's kind of funny. I don't take it really personally. A lot of people like get offended about this thing, but I'm fine. And by the way, white people also get asked selfie, especially if you're in the middle of somewhere in a village. So it's not just because I'm a black woman that I get asked for selfie, but this was my experience and the situation. So the second aspect I want to talk about is interaction. There's usually a language barrier, but they're also like curious about your skin and curious about your hair. So they tend to be a bit too eager and like touchy, so they want to touch. Like one day I'm just walking in the street, like this woman just grabbed my hair and like she's like, oh, nice hair. Or like men, they come to you, they obviously asked to marry you, because when I was with the guy, that's what the guy was saying. Oh, I like your skin, I want to marry you. There's not people like this here and things like that. And when I was in the north, I was actually hanging out with a guy that was half French, half Vietnamese. And he was telling me that one of the guides, some of the old men there was like talking about my breasts and my shape and my curves. And actually, apparently Vietnamese guys, they like to joke a lot about sex and women and everything. So apparently they were not saying something that bad, but still, this is men around the world in general. I'm sorry, this is the way they speak about women sometimes, unfortunately. But except from that, I didn't have any direct approach by men being rude or trying to grope me or anything like that. So don't worry. So that brings me actually to the third point, which is safety. I felt very, very safe traveling alone as a black woman there. And actually, Vietnam is one of the first countries that everyone recommends for solo travels. So as a woman there, you'll be always safe. As I said prior in the video, just use common sense. Don't go drink weird alcohol with strangers. Don't walk like at 3 a.m. at night. For the taxi, always use the app, the Grab. Look at the picture if it's the right guy picking you up and if you're going to the right direction. This is like very basic things that you need to do. And even in Hanoi, I went to like a very famous mixology cocktail bar, and the guy came, the bartender walked with me outside and waited for my Grab to come and made sure it was the right person that was driving me home and things like that. So they're very caring, so this is safe. And lastly, what I want to address is like which kind of challenge I came across when I was there. It was more about skin care and hair care. I found it really difficult to find, for example, coconut oil for my hair, and also soap, simply soap. Easy to find, but strangely, and I also noticed that in the Philippines, I didn't say that in my last video, but their soap has like bleaching agents, and it clearly written in the soap that it has some whitening element, because in Asia, obviously they don't like to have dark skin because it's a privilege to be white skin Asian person. So they want to bleach their skin to not get darker, and even they don't like to have a tan or something like that. But this is for them personally. It's not because of that they will treat me badly because I'm black. And another challenge I would like to talk about is like the fact that I didn't see any other black woman when I was traveling, or maybe one that was with her husband or something like that. So I would like to actually encourage more black women to go to Vietnam and to experience and discover and travel the world, because this is what will actually change perspective and bring less fear around that topic. So I will encourage everyone to go. So my conclusion is Vietnam is an amazing country, super beautiful, good food, stunning landscape in the north. Do not skip the Asian loop. This video will be one of my next video, but it's going to be a long video. It's going to be probably like a documentary style video, so it's not going to be out the next few weeks. It's gonna be out in a while, but in the meantime, I will release other video. Except from that, yeah, Vietnam was an amazing country. I encourage everyone to go. I will definitely be going back because I want to do Along Bay and I want to do other things in Vietnam. If there's any Vietnamese watching, I'm looking forward to see you there. If there's only black girl watching, I'm looking forward to meet you there in Vietnam. And as usual, thanks for watching and live inspired. Bye.